Well, hello everybody. This is your buddy here, Larry Kirshner from the darkness, trying to get the attraction done, ready to go by Transworld. But no, we have 7 days until we open for My Bloody Valentine. And it's actually not even 7. We have an electrical crew coming here to the darkness at 7 in the morning. So that's like literally 3 hours from now. They will be here putting in electric, trying to fix the electric and everything else so that we can start doing the lighting and the sound and plugging in the animations next week. That's the goal. That's the goal. So will we get it done? But so I have some announcements that I want to make, okay? And I wanted to talk to you guys about the history of the Darkness Haunted House Tour, how it happened, whether it makes money, and what our future plans are for haunted house tours. But I want to, so let's just start with the announcement first. Let's start with the announcement. So here's the announcement. We have been doing haunted house tours for Transworld since the very first year that Transworld came to St. Louis. The very first year this show was ever started. And I don't want to bore you, but I'm going to tell you a little bit of the history, okay? Transworld didn't want to do that show. The haunt industry didn't think that show would ever work. They wanted to keep the retailers and the haunts together, but that wasn't really possible. So without getting into a long, drawn-out thing, I was adamant that if we did a show just on haunted houses, that it would be huge. And long story short, Transworld agreed to produce a show in St. Louis. And I want to say this for the record. The reason why I wanted the show in St. Louis, and by the way, before Transworld ever agreed to do the show, I was about to hire a company to do it. I'd already reserved the convention center. I mean, I had everything done. And Transworld came in and said, we'll do it. And they did it, and they made it successful. And nobody works harder at making the show more than anyone could have ever dreamt. Because I can tell you that when I was proposing this on the old Hauntworld Fright Forum, nobody thought it was going to work because they said, Larry, there's hardly any haunt vendors. And I would tell them, like, you don't understand. Every amusement park in the world does haunted houses now. This could be huge. And if we lowered the cost of booth space, we would get more vendors and they'd buy more booths and they'd bring more products and it would grow. Well, to make a long story short, I was involved in the very last Transworld show they did, which was in Vegas. That's the last time they did a show where the haunts and the retail were together. The following year, the haunts were not with the retail. That's when St. Louis show started. So it went from Vegas to St. Louis. They still did a show in Chicago, but it didn't go over. So the first show was like 50,000 square feet. Literally, the convention center was told it wouldn't be successful. About 4,500 people showed up. The show was overrun with people. It was unbelievable. I mean, they didn't have any food in the concession stands. I mean, it was like, it was kind of all over the place. But here's the part where the darkness comes in. The previous year, probably the first ever haunt tour was organized. I helped. It was Randy Griggs' Haunt. And they provided shuttles and everything. Now, and I'm not trying to throw Randy Griggs under the bus, but, his haunts were, they weren't the best. They were literally in trailers because that's how all the haunts in Vegas are. They're trailers. Some of the buses got lost. I think one of them got a flat tire. And then the other problem is they provided food. And nobody had ever done these haunt tours, so you learn from doing them. And so what they did wrong was they just let people get their own food. And they had tons of food, but people were piling it like literally 8 feet tall on their plate. And so when the second half of people got in the line, there was no food left. So anyway, people didn't like the haunt. Some buses got lost. There wasn't enough food for everybody. So anyway, to make a long story short, when Transworld agreed to do the show in St. Louis and they started to produce it, I helped them find additional vendors. We scoped, scanned all of IAPA. I mean, I gave them brochure. I mean, told them to call this person, that person. You know, I was obviously trying to help them because, you know, my neck was a little on the line because I was the big advocate. So, but one day, Jen Thaler calls me and says, aren't you opening the darkness? And I said, hell no. Hell no. Hell no. I'm not putting myself through that kind of scrutiny, okay? Because of what happened the year before with the Vegas tour. And to give you a little understanding of it, people were bitching about that for literally months after the Vegas. I was like, there is zero chance that I will open my haunted house for these people who, you know, didn't appreciate what Randy did because he tried his absolute best, never did that before, and I thought he did a really good job, and he just got raked over the coals, okay? And I was like, there's zero chance. Well, and I hate, and I'm not throwing Jen under the bus or whatever, she really was upset that I wouldn't open the haunted house because she felt like this show's never even been tried before, and you're like well known in the haunt industry. You make all these how-to videos, and you own Hauntworld.com, and you're kind of a loudmouth, and so yeah, people want to see your haunt. But I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm not putting myself through that. So here's the point I want you guys to understand. I never wanted the show to come to St. Louis to open my haunt for haunt tours. That was never my plan. You can ask Jen Thaler, she'll tell you, because she got really mad when she found out I would not open the haunt. I would not do it. I said, there's no way. Well, she got really, really hurt by this, I think, and upset. And so I said, fine, we'll open the haunt. You know, like so that it's another piece of the puzzle. So we did. So that put an immense amount of pressure on me. And so do you want to know how much money I spent feeling all that pressure? It was about 1.5 million. That was the most we ever spent for any of the haunt tours, including this one and every one between. Because this building that we're in, this was just a foundation. So there was a reason why it never got turned into a building. It was because of the apartment complex across the way were threatening me with eminent domain. They said that they owned the rights somehow to this plot of ground for redevelopment. And so once they started threatening us, we put the hold. Well, all we had was a foundation. And then we decided, and we had already ordered the steel and everything. And then we decided to, like, we were going to negotiate with them, and then nothing came of it. And then our loan lapsed. So then we had to reapply for the loan and everything else. But then when we found out that Transworld was coming here, we scrambled and said, man, we've got to build this building fast, okay? Because we wanted to be part of the tour. So this building, all it was when we agreed to do the haunt tour, at that point the steel was erected and the concrete was poured, and you could see right through the walls, and it had wires up to keep you from falling off. We had no choice. I think I had something like 20 people working for me. So we started building TerraVisions in 3D. That was here. I hired another company to put in all of this drywall that you see in here, and to put this drywall up, and to build this drywall in the staircase. And then they did all of the work in here and drywalled everything. And then this is original to the new haunt. So when people came for the haunt tour 16 years ago, because I think it was 2010, from that wall to approximately, I almost want to say it was like right here, right before that window, that was at least I had the foresight to think, oh yeah, we'll have a retail store of some kind. And that gate right there is original from 16 years ago. Now, when we were trying to rush this building to be built, it was in the winter. And I actually know a lot more about doing tuck pointing work, because you can do it in the winter. You do it with tarps and heaters, and it can be done. But these people were not working in the winter. And so they would do a little here and a little there, and it was a big old mess outside, and it was just a catastrophe. And so they were working on this back wall, and I literally said, screw that, you got to do the wall that people are going to exit out of. So they switched, and they literally got it done literally the week of Transworld. And then there's sand all over the place. So we had to, I think we had to put like plywood and stuff so you could walk out the building. It was a real disaster. To make a long story short, we renovated the entire haunted house. We spent the most money, the most time. We worked on it. And here's the difference. Back then, the Transworld show was at the end of March. It was around my birthday, because my birthday is like March the 24th. So it was around my birthday. I know this for a fact. And so we had that extra month to get it done. So I think we had something like 20 people working. We spent $1.5 million because we also had to build this building from scratch. We built TerraVisions from scratch. We built the retail store from scratch. And then we went right through the entire haunted house. And then exactly what I said was going to happen, happened. We got raked over the coals. Now, we didn't open on time. It started snowing. It was raining. It was cold. And so, that was the main complaint. Nobody focused on all the work we did on the haunt. It was about not opening on time. It was about the cold. And I learned something. The reason we didn't open on time was because we didn't have radios. All that work we did, all that money we spent, all the cool stuff we did was flushed down the toilet because we forgot one stupid thing, and that was to charge the radios. Like, phones weren't that great back then. Nobody could communicate. We couldn't get anybody in place. It was a disaster from the standpoint of being ready to open when the bell rang. Now, when people come to the haunt tours now, we try to open early. We got all the I's, all the T's, dotted, crossed, you name it. So it's been totally different. But I can tell you this, after that first haunt tour that we did in 2010, and we got literally dragged over the coals, I literally said, I'm never doing it again. Screw this, hell with these people. I'm never going to do it again. This is not worth it. We spent a gazillion dollars. We damn near killed ourselves. Hell with this. But then guess what? About 5 months went by and I cooled off. And then I said, you know what? I need to do it again because I need to make sure this time I open on time. And then we got to make some more changes and more improvements. Now, the second year was probably the second highest amount of money that I spent. It was probably around $450,000 to $500,000. That's what we spent on the darkness the second year. And I said to myself, I'm only going to open one more time and that's it. Now, here's the funny part. Jen Thaler, she literally came to me the very first year we did the haunt tour. That was on a Sunday. She said, Larry, what happened to your haunt tour? I'm hearing everybody saying bad things. And I said, look, yeah, okay. So that really, when I thought about it, because I like to win, okay? That's the only reason I ever did the haunt tour a second year, was to prove to everybody and myself that we could do better. Really, that's the only reason. I never wanted to do haunt tours. It was never about money. It was always about, the first year was because Jen felt it was important to help launch the show. The second year I did the haunt tour, it was merely to prove to myself and everyone else that we could hit a home run. And we did much better the second year. And I can tell you, we've done better and better and better every year since. Anyway, so we would be doing these haunt tours, and people would hear me say, I don't know if I'm going to do it again next year. I don't know if I'm going to do it next year. And you know why that is because you would spend all winter long like killing yourself and spending gobs of money, and you would maybe get back $80,000, $75,000, $100,000, and you just looked at all your bills and you're like, holy cow, we spent $380,000. And then I would hear some Nimrod online say, well, you would have done all that anyway. No, we wouldn't. Are you crazy? Hell no. It was feeling the pressure of opening for peers, and it really came from the PTSD of doing it the first year and kind of screwing a lot of stuff up. that, you know, you put so much pressure on yourself to go all out and do it the best you possibly can that it really caused a problem. So anyway, the last tour we did in 2009, when it was 20, I guess it was, when COVID hit, and that one didn't happen. The following year we didn't open, and then the next year we decided to open just for a behind the scenes tour. We allowed 275 people to come, and that was a way for me to unthaw from the idea of doing haunt tours again. And then the following year, it was another deal. Like, we worked on the haunt, and I just said to myself, if we get it done, we get it done. We'll announce, if we decide to do a tour, we'll announce it at the last second. And if people want to come, they can come. And that was 2 years ago. So we didn't do a tour one year because of COVID. The next year, we did no tour. And then the following 2 years, we just limited it to 275 people. Last year was the first year we opened the Lemp. And I don't even know, 6, 7 years, okay? And since Transworld's been coming to St. Louis, I think we've only opened the Lemp 3, 4 times maybe. So in 16 years, we've opened it 3 or 4 times. So with all that being said, I do have an announcement. I want to make it, and I want to be clear about it. But I want to be clear that we don't do haunt tours for money. I actually find it very very... It's like the most fun that I have is like building new sets, new scenes. But this build this year was crazy because you're just literally tearing TerraVisions out and building it from scratch. But I wanted to say, and I'm trying to, and I'm not going to get teary-eyed in this, but I am going to get a little nostalgic. The very first time that Transworld came to St. Louis, which was 16 years ago, TerraVisions was brand new. 16 years later, TerraVisions is gone. It's gone. And I can also tell you, and I know this for a fact, there is not one single thing. Well, there's like a wall, okay, with a sculpture on it. There's only one thing, one little wall in the entire haunted house that is the same from 16 years ago. Every single square inch of this place has been changed in 16 years. There's only really 1 or 2 things I would even change at this point before you have to just start saying to yourself, why are you spending this much money on a haunt that already looks really cool and already has all this stuff? So here's the announcement, okay? Number 1, when it comes to a behind the scenes tour, I will never do the Lemp as a behind the scenes tour again. This is it. This is the only one I'll do. And when it comes to the escape rooms, I've only done it once before, and that's when I only had 2 escape rooms. And that was the first time we built this. They didn't even work, by the way. So this is technically, officially, the first time I've ever done a tour of the escape rooms. It will be the last time that I do that. I've only served food maybe twice for a behind the scenes tour. I will never do that again either. The only reason I decided to do it was because there were so many legs of this tour for the behind the scenes, and it's going to take so long. So I figured, people would be hungry. But I'm not going to do a behind the scenes tour of my escape rooms ever again. Now, I shouldn't say ever. I would say 95% for sure that I will never do that again. I can say right now, 95%, I will never do a behind the scenes tour of the Lemp ever again. Another thing I'm going to announce too right now is I probably will never open the Lemp again live for actors. And I'm not going to say 100%, but I would say more than likely it probably would be 5 to 10 years before I would ever do it again. And that leaves the darkness. Okay, so this could be the last time that I do a haunted house tour, and I'll tell you what would make me do another one, okay? If I rebuild the museum here like I'm talking about, and I rebuild the one scene that I want to do downstairs, which will be super cool, I can tell you right now, it'll be super cool, okay? Then I would consider doing a tour next year maybe going back to just a behind the scenes tour, maybe with live actors, but it would only be 2 nights, or it would be 1 night, and that would be next year. That's if we do the museum and we do the scene downstairs. And then that's if we do it. And then if we don't, then we will not open next year. If we do, I'll consider it depending on how I feel, okay? Because I'm not planning on doing any renovations to the darkness in 2026. I am not doing any renovations whatsoever to Creepy World for 2025. I can tell you, Creepy World is where we spent most of our money last year, and it was a gob, and it was like a complete overhaul of Creepy World, and it's so cool. I just can't do it because I've spent all my money on the darkness. So I plan on continuing the darkness renovation beyond Transworld to do the museum, to make sure the secret bar gets built. And once those things are done, if they turn out good, we may do something next year with the darkness. Maybe not. But I can tell you right now, I will not do a behind the scenes tour ever again for the escape room. It interrupts the escape room. We're not going to do it again. And, you know, after really thinking about the Lemp, the whole coordination of go to Lemp and then come over here, and especially for the people who are Ubering, I didn't really think it through. And then when I started thinking about it, that's why I keep saying it's optional. It's optional. If you want to do the Lemp, you can, okay? Go over to the Lemp, then come over here. But it's just the logistics is too tough, okay? So we're not going to do it again. We're not going to do it again. And we're not going to open the Lemp again, period. Probably ever. Okay, so this is it for the Lemp. This is it for the St. Louis Escape. So if you want to see our escape rooms behind the scenes tour of each one, this is it, and it's over. Okay, so the behind the scenes tour this year, this is the one and done of this nature. So go to darkness.fearticket.com and get your tickets to behind the scenes tour. If you want to go to the Lemp, it's going to be on Saturday night. It's limited to 500 people. I would say it's already about 1/3 sold out. Get your tickets to Lemp. Lemp is a really cool haunt. It's more old school, but in one of the coolest, creepiest places you've ever seen. Get your tickets at darkness.fearticket.com. Now, so the last part of this announcement, and it's really kind of wild, is that TerrorVisions was the very last thing that's original to the first year of Transworld. Now it's gone. It's gone. And it's such a major renovation. The gift store was such a major renovation with the sheer size and scope of how big it got. And it took weeks to put it back together. I'm not doing this again. So here's what I'm going to tell you. Here's what I'm going to tell you. That next year, if the darkness opens, it's going to be because the renovations were already done. That means after Transworld, I'll get to it, we'll finish it, and in the winter, I'm going to focus on going to IAPA. I'm going to try to sell mini golfs or haunted houses or laser tags, and then I'm not going to be chained to St. Louis, okay? Because that's what happens when you do a haunt tour. And I don't care if it's in St. Louis or Philadelphia, everything leading up to you doing a haunt tour, you might as well be chained to your attraction. So I am refusing to be chained. I don't accept anyone who says I do the haunt tours for money. They don't make money. We didn't talk about that, but I'll talk about it right now. If I do just theoretically $100,000 on this haunt tour, I already know, especially with the Alien too, and I'm only pushing to get it finished because it's Transworld's coming up, okay? Otherwise, I could take my dear sweet time, okay? I could take my dear sweet time with this thing back here, but I'm not. I'm pushing because Transworld's coming up, okay? And so I didn't need to take out TerraVision. Could have just left it. It's fine. Done no haunt tour. And you know what I would have? I'd have about $450,000 in my bank account right now because I didn't spend it on this. The only way that I could actually rationalize doing all of this is I just said to myself, okay, I've never done halfway to Halloween. I'll do that. We're going to do Valentine's. We're going to do Krampus, and we'll do Transworld. Put all that together, plus selling TerraVisions with what I got back from that. I'm going to be down. I'm hoping I'll only be down 175,000-ish, something like that. Okay. I would not spend 175,000 to renovate the darkness, but I can live with it because I wanted to do a wholesale change to it, not necessarily for the Transworld folks, but for St. Louis. Okay, I think it needed a complete something overhaul, major thing. So think about what we're doing here. We're building a secret bar. We're building, we've gotten rid of a haunted house. It's virtually been, more or less the same because it's 3D for 16 years. We got rid of that. We improved a lot of the little sections in the haunted house, and we're going to do something with the museum and make it more photo friendly for people who want to make reels and things of this nature. I think it's a wholesale change. We are going to rebrand the darkness. This is the last part of the major announcement. We're going to rebrand it back to what it used to be called the Darkness Haunted Scream Park. And there you go. Because we feel like that's what we've made it. When you add the gift store, the 5-minute escape, our escape rooms are next door, our mini golf's next door, our pinball machines are next door, our secret bar will be here. All 3 different haunts, because the new haunt, the upstairs haunt, and the downstairs haunt are all totally different. The outdoor scare zone, we're just going to rebrand it back to what it used to be called the Darkness Haunted Scream Park, because the darkness can't compete with Creepy World unless we probably make wholesale changes. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing here. And this to me is a once in 10-year renovation. I don't plan on doing any renovations. I don't plan on buying a ton of props. I don't plan on doing any of that in 2026. What do I plan on doing? Traveling. I might go to Europe, and I'll take my camera with me, and I'll go to creepy places and film them. I'll go to haunted houses. I'll go to South Dakota and see Mount Rushmore. Okay? I'll get in an RV and just drive. You know where I'd like to go to see the filming locations for Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Why not? I would rather do that as a change of pace for 2026, the winter of 2026. And when you get to be kind of like the age that I'm getting, a lot of people my age will go travel somewhere warmer. Well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be here at the darkness, renovating, spending. I'm just going to put more focus on selling mini golfs and keep all of our guys working and doing that. We'll fix the darkness and make sure it's all repaired after the season, and we'll run our Krampus and our Valentine's, but I could do that from anywhere and come back. We're not going to spend $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 to do a haunt tour. So there you have it. I've enjoyed every second of doing these haunt tours. It's been so much fun. We've learned so much, and we've also shared so much. So there will be no Lemp, there will be no St. Louis Escape, and the darkness, I would say, is 30% that we'll do a tour in 2026. And I've said it 100 times, I'll say it again, I will not do a tour if we don't do a major renovation. But if we do the museum and it turns out really cool, and we do the big scene downstairs, because I really want to do a really cool scene down there, that will take a lot of time and a lot of effort. That's why I'm not doing it right now. Then yeah, we probably will do something, okay? Because I'll be here. I'll come to Transworld, and that's what we'll do. So there's your announcement. I just wanted to put that out there. that this will probably be the last time that we do a big tour. So we hope you come. There's only 3 weeks left. We hope to see you here. Get your tickets at darkness.fearticket.com. And I wanted to say that I appreciate all the support that we've had since 2010. And I also want to say that since 2010, on this haunted house, we have probably spent somewhere in the ballpark of around $5 million or $6 million on renovations to this one haunted house, especially including the escape room, about $6-7 million. And we went way over the top, way beyond what we could ever get back from the market we're in. We're not in Atlanta, we're not in Philadelphia, we're not in Los Angeles. If the darkness was in Los Angeles, it probably would do 100,000, 120,000 people a year. If it was in Los Angeles. It's not in Los Angeles. If it was in Chicago, if it was in a different city, but it's not. It's in St. Louis, and it can only do so much. It's not the greatest market for haunts, honestly. You would think. It is what it is. So, we're inviting everyone to come. Transworld 2025. We are excited for you to come, but we did want to mention why we probably won't do any more. The cost is huge. It's not just the cost. People say, just open it. But I don't know. I don't work that way. My brain don't work that way. So thanks for watching the video. Please leave your comments and share, and we'll see you here in St. Louis.